Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Title Scope. This week we're going to talk about wild instruments. So a wild instrument is defined as any instrument appearing in the chain of title in which the first party, the grantor, the mortgagor, etc., has no record interest in the subject property. So generally, if the grantor is a stranger to the chain of title, there's no constructive notice. However, because it's recorded often, it does give actual notice. So that's why we really have to look at these and take care of them or address them. So what do you do if you have a wild instrument in your chain? Well, first things first, don't ignore it. You really need to investigate, look at the facts surrounding it, look at the names, try to determine what the reason was for the filing. Sometimes it was pure accident. Sometimes it's a misdescription. Sometimes it's someone claiming an interest in the property via adverse possession, or perhaps it's an heir claiming an interest from a prior owner. But either way, you need to really look at those and look at the facts surrounding it to determine whether or not we need to do anything with it. So some things to note. One thing is our standard Schedule B exception as to rights and parties in possession not disclosed by public records may be ineffective if the grantor or the grantee of a wild instrument is in possession of any part of the land. So in that case, maybe think of adverse possession. Maybe it's a farm and someone's claiming, the back 10 acres and they put a fence around it, in which case there is someone who's claiming an interest in the property and potentially has possession of it. The other thing really to note is if your state law has any statutes regarding these, so maybe they will say these type of documents don't constitute constructive notice and they don't impair marketability. You may have to handle these a little different, because if you put them on the commitment, you may in fact be getting rid of the benefit of that recording statute. So again, you just need to know your state statute, and if you're not sure, definitely reach out to your underwriter. So some things to look out for. Look at the time elapsed. Has it been 40, 50 years? Has it been insured multiple times? In those cases, we may not have to deal with it because enough time has passed, or your title, maybe there's a title marketability act in your state in which you could maybe ignore this deed or document if enough time has gone by. If there's a corrective instrument, so sometimes there's a wild deed and then there's a corrective deed right after because they realized that something happened and they took care of it. The other hand, on another hand, what we also want to look for is if it's recent. So say maybe it's within 10 years. You're going to look at similar things. So if there's a correction deed, you could probably ignore it, because if they took care of it by the correction deed, then you're probably okay. The other thing is, what about a quitclaim deed? So say we have this wild deed from A to B, and A was never in title and B's never had in possession. But then they want to clear up title. So maybe a prior title company got a quitclaim deed from B, in which case we could say, okay, any interest they may have had was taken care of with that quitclaim deed. Just remember that ALTA policies are ensuring that the title is marketable. So again, if a wild deed, if you have a grantee on a wild deed and then they erroneously deed again to someone else with your legal description, we need to take care of it. So we take that upon ourselves to clean up the title so that the new owners really do have marketable title. So that's all I have for this week. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. I know you probably don't see these a lot, but if you guys have questions, reach out to your underwriter. We're happy to look at it with you and ask the questions to figure out what we need to do with the wild instruments. With that, we'll call it a week. Thanks.